Are grading services worth it?
Let's focus in and find out. So today we're going to talk about grading. Realistically, this is going to be true for every single card game out there. For us, we're going to use Pokemon as a reference, but they also do grading with every other type of collectible you think of. We can do everything from video games to comic books to signatures, pretty much everything in the mix. But for us, like I said, we're going to talk about Pokemon for this one. And just know that all when we mention grading is basically just getting the card physically graded by somebody else and basically putting it in a protective slab just to make sure it's protected with that grade on it. So when we talk about grading, there's going to be four main factors that are going to go into it: centering, front, back, and edges. When we talk about centering, realistically, the biggest thing that you'll notice is that cards are not always exactly cut the same, and specifically with Pokemon, they some sets do a little bit worse than others. Realistically, when we look at these ones, between the Charizard and the Decidueye, realistically, when it's actually put the printer actually prints out the sheets, however it's cut is how it's going to be graded on that. So, for instance, if it's oriented too much left or too much right, too much up or too much down, that's going to be what goes into that grade. They use special laser grading technology basically to make sure that it's going to be placed correctly, and when they actually grade it, they give you a grade based off how off-center it is.
And they're also going to be looking at the front and back surfaces, any kind of scratches that are going to happen to it, any kind of just dents, folds, anything you can really think of that can damage a card. And then they're also going to be looking at the edges and the corners of the card, looking for whitening, any kind of bends, and just any damage that could make the card look any worse than it is usually.
Yeah. And so when you actually get grades, they're always going to be on a 10-point scale. The biggest thing to know is that when you actually get the final grade, the end of it's going to be is that at the end of the day, your subgrades, which are going to be those four categories that we're talking about, the score can never be greater than the second lowest grade. So just know that whenever you get a grade back, it's always going to be your weakest links are going to be the ones that are keeping it up or down. Whenever we talk about grading, there's going to be three main graders, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of different companies out there, but these are the ones that are biggest for Pokemon and for card games. We're going to be talking about BGS, which is Beckett. We're going to talk about CGC and PSA. So realistically, why, when, how should you grade cards? At the end of the day, this is completely our opinion. We're not here to give you financial advice. We're not here to make your decisions for you. But realistically, at the end of the day, these are how we choose to grade cards. There's going to be two main factors you're going to think about. It's either going to be for your own personal collection, which, it's always great to have something that is pristine, something's phenomenal, and you want to just have that for display or have it just for yourself. Like, for me, I love Raichus. I'm going to have a collection of graded Raichus, perfect 10s all around. Or you can also look at how we do, and to be honest, this is where we're coming from transparently, is for the return on investment, right? So how much are you actually going to get based off how much you paid to get that card graded and how much you actually put into the whole process of getting that card, whether it was buying it from somebody else, pulling it from a pack, whatever that might be, and then paying to get it graded, and how much will you actually make back? So when we talk about the submissions, realistically, there's going to be a few different types. You'll see it's basically two main styles. Between most of these companies, Beckett and PSA will have their own two individual styles, and CGC is starting to get into it more. When we talk about the submissions between the companies, when you're actually ready to send in your cards for submission, you're going to see both group services as well as individual services, or individual submissions. Realistically, when you do a group submission, it's sending it to a middleman or some individual party that will send it in bulk. And basically, all of the major companies will get it back a little bit faster. It's going to cost typically around the same, but it basically will just be a more consistent, fast return for those because they have either a corporate account or a business account with them to make sure that they can get it faster. An individual submission is basically just by yourself. You put in the packaging yourself, you do everything by yourself, do all of the submission forms for yourself, and then send it off. Basically, never touches a middle party. It's all just by you.
So what's some differences between these grading services? PSA is a great grading company that is the standard for Pokemon cards. When anyone talks about getting their cards graded, the first service that usually comes to mind is PSA. They are pretty well priced for the service that they provide. Here are the prices. Right now, the turnaround times are crazy, and unless you want to pay a premium, you probably won't get your cards back for a while. But hopefully, they'll start to speed up turnaround times in the near future. PSA is known for having a solid grading foundation, but can be seen as a little loose in their grades. Some people say that the BGS and CGC 9.5 is equal to a PSA 10, but that can only be seen if you get the card regraded through PSA. Most people like PSA for their clean and classic red and white labels and their confidence that the card was graded correctly. I would say go with PSA if you enjoy the slab and PSA brand behind it. CGC is known for their comic book grading, but is an up-and-coming player in the Pokemon grading world. They're seen as tough graders, but are not as well regarded in the community as the other two grading services. CGC graded cards come in a clear slab with a blue label. Both CGC and BGS have an option for subgrades, as well as you can get a 9.5 instead of just a 9 or a 10 like PSA. Subgrades can help you see exactly how your card was graded for each category and why it got the grade that it did. The overall graded number is very easy to see on the label, as well as the card's information. They also seem to have the number grade off-center on some cards that can be a bit annoying. However, compared to the other two, they have great prices and their turnaround time is generally as they advertise.
I mean, the biggest thing for CGC is that they also have some special grading too. Depending on what you're actually looking to do and what you need them for, they are newer in the market, but they do have a couple services which the others have not gotten into yet. So Pedigree is one of the biggest ones. I know that Beckett has done a little bit of it, but CGC started from the ground doing that. Basically, you can get specific history of the card. So if you have a old Charizard, like a base set first edition Charizard that you really want to get graded, and you really want to make sure that whoever's buying it, or if you're buying it, you want to know where it's coming from, who had it before, and make sure it was treated well, or even if it's legitimate, they'll actually have that printed on the slab itself. The other one is that they also do error printing too. They're one of the only companies that will actually do that for you. So in the case of like the 25th anniversary cards that were printed in Vivid Voltage, where people were pulling them from packs accidentally before it was actually put into the mainstream, they will actually put that on the slab themselves. They'll say it was an unintentional error, it was something that wasn't supposed to be there, and they'll actually have that printed for you so that it'll be one of a kind, something different than nobody else will have. And that's something that's also special, just depending on what you have and what you're looking for.
BGS is highly regarded for their tough grades and the Black Label 10. BGS typically has a higher cost associated with it, but it can definitely be well worth it when you have a shot at getting a Black Label. Even their standard gold and silver slabs are beautiful and should not be disregarded. Beckett's pricing is based off of whether or not you would like subgrades. Right now, the turnaround times are increased, but they have an estimate online for each service level. Here are the current prices to grade the cards, and here are prices to ship the cards back to you and the insurance cost depending upon how much value you declare for your shipment. You also have to pay to insure your cards separately when you initially ship it to them.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's completely up to you. Some people, especially if you're using this for your own personal collection, I mean, it just depends on what slabs you like. If you like specific styles, I'm personally a big fan of Beckett's. I just think they look really sleek. But, I mean, some people just have different styles and preferences. It's completely up to you. Biggest thing, if you're looking at return on investment, is just making sure that you're getting the highest grade possible for what you're actually sending in, if you care about the money. If you just care about the style, whatever looks cool at the end of the day. Just what you want to have on your shelf, what you want to have in a stack somewhere that you can look at and pull out. That's the biggest thing that you really should care about. So, I mean, realistically, like we said, we went in to get our new Rainbow Charizard graded. This is one of the most recent ones that we did just because it was something that was accessible and something that was pretty chase and hard to get. So we want to make sure we got it graded, and as the old adage goes, if it's Charizard, grade it. It's up to you if you want to do that, but that's typically what a lot of people say about them. We decided that we wanted to get ours graded just because it was in pretty good condition. We thought we can get it graded as a 10.
We chose to ship our declared $500 Charizard through their express grading service and chose to have the express shipping back to us. So we had to pay $28 for return shipping as well as $12 to insure it. Shipping to Beckett, we had to pay a total of $17.75 for a 6x6x6 inch half-pound package, including insurance through FedEx. That was for 6-day shipping. So to grade one card using the express service and express shipping, it was a total of $153.75. The card was shipped to Beckett on November 13th and came back to us on December 3rd.
So when you actually go in for grading your cards individually, you'll see that there are specific levels of pricing. Realistically, as we saw from the different companies, they all have their own various prices. But for us in particular, the biggest thing that you want to know is that when you're actually sending a card to get graded, you want to be as honest as possible with that number when you're actually submitting it on the form, because that's going to do two things for you. Not only is it going to get you the appropriate insurance in case of any damages or anything like that, either on the way back to you or while it's actually at the service. But the big thing is that they all have the pricing to insure themselves and make sure that their grade is corrected if it's possible, and also make sure that they also have the right amount for it too. So a lot of these companies will actually charge you some fees if you are obviously wrong about it. So if it's $1,000 card and you know it is, they've been working in the business for a while if you're sending in for a $200 grade, right? So make sure that you're staying with the correct amount, because in case anything happens, that's also insuring yourself. So for us, we at the very least wanted to know that we would get a 9, because we were pretty confident in a higher grade. So we wanted to make sure that we graded at least a 9, because that would be at least a $500 valuation at the time of submission. So we wanted to make sure if anything happened while it was there, if it got stolen, lost, we would be okay, because that was what we were really caring about. So just make sure that you're being accurate with it so you can get the most possible return. And in case of anything happens, you can get a replacement, or if you really want to, just take the return on it. Here's what we got back. Obviously we covered up everything, but we haven't opened this yet. Everything's still completely sealed for us. We didn't look and spoil it for ourselves. We wanted to make sure the first time that we saw it was going to be on camera, just to see how good we were with self-grading, just to make sure that we got the right thing.
Yeah, so we thought it was going to be around a 9.5 from Beckett. Honestly, we'll be happy with either one right now, just because it's a Rainbow Charizard. Can't really go wrong with it. It'd be really nice if we got a 10 though.
Just hoping for that Chase 10. Hopefully we can get the black label. Probably not, yep. But it looked like it was in pretty good condition when we first got to the pack. A lot of the set has been a little bit off-centered. There's been a lot of 9s, 9.5s floating around for these Rainbow Charizards, but we're hoping to get on the higher end of that scale.
There are actually a lot of 10s going for Beckett too. Yeah. Not a lot of black labels.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get one. Like we saw, here's going to be a bunch of prices on the screen for you of what they've actually been going for. But realistically, here's what we got.
All right, let's do it.
I'm really hoping for that high grade.
Man.
Don't cut yourself.
Yeah. All right. Let's bitch open. It's from the top. There we go. All right.
Ooh, got that nice, clean Beckett logo.
Oh my god, I feel it. Oh, that's a lot of wrapping.
At least they keep it protected.
Yes, they do. All right, let's see. Is it gonna be... Oh, whoa. All right.
They keep it covered for themselves.
That's true, unless it's just an advertisement.
It looks like it.
All right.
It's the Beckett Vault.
Okay. So.
All right. So let's see how we did.
Ooh. All right. So I want to say that it's actually good on this side. There we go. Okay.
All right.
All right. Ready?
Yep. So let's see. First time on screen.
Hey,
9.5. Hey,
not bad.
That's not bad.
All right.
So let's see how we did. So we got a 10 on the centering. It was perfect centering. Corners, surface, edges, all got 9.5. So like we're talking about, it can't be greater than the 2 lowest scores. So even if it averaged out a little bit higher, this one did average at 9.5. But no matter what, if we got 2 of those 9.5s, it would have to be. But honestly, not bad. It's still a pretty nice looking card, and that is a clean looking slab.
It is clean, but there is a scratch going right down the middle.
Is it really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
You see it?
Well, that's another thing to know. At the end of the day, for a lot of these services, the other big thing, if you're ever not happy with your grade, or if you're not happy with any of these things, by all means, they also have a regrading service for a lot of these companies. So like we were talking about before, if it's a BGS 9.5 and you really want to search for that 10, you can send it to another company and they'll regrade it, and hopefully you can get that 10. That's
we got a 10 in centering though.
We did.
That's crazy.
Which is pretty nice, honestly. I didn't really expect that. I expected that to be the 9.5 if anything.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's nice. I like just the presentation of it overall. Honestly, Beckett was really kind to us. We had to actually do a couple of things on the back end when we were sending it in. We didn't know about the actual shipping process. We wanted to make sure that we were doing everything right with them, but their customer service was super fast and responsive for us. We just wanted to make sure that everything was good all around, but they were super fast, super respective. And the big thing about it is that we didn't look at it, but whenever you get these graded, you can actually see the grade prior to receiving it. So if you want to be really anxious and you don't want to just open it on a package, you can look at it beforehand so you can actually see how it's going to be graded. But they give you full tracking, everything in there too, and they'll insure it for the same value as when you were actually sending it into. But overall, I mean, I think it was great. Yeah. I really enjoyed the experience. Realistically, if grading is for you or not, it's up to you. But that's how we did, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.